Welcome everyone. Got another minute or so, but I figured I'd open it up just to let everyone in and um, wait for a few people. So welcome to the webinar this month. This is going to be a shorter format. Typically, we've done 1 hour webinars, and we're going to try something new with keeping them to a half hour. So I'm going to start pretty promptly here in just a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds or a minute. Feel free to post any questions you have in the chat. I won't answer them in sequence. I'll wait till the end and answer all the questions. I just want to make sure we have time to get through the material, as well as maybe 10 or 5 minutes for questions at the end. If we get a lot of questions and I don't get time to get to yours, we're gonna keep track of those, and we'll get back to you via email with an answer to your question. So maybe just another 10 seconds, let a few more people trickle in, and then we'll get started. As always, these are recorded and they'll be posted on our website, so you can check them out in the future, just in case you have to jump off early or you forget something or you want to come back. This is a good one because there's a lot of resources here, so you won't be able to memorize everything I talk about. So coming back to this, you can definitely find a bunch of new things. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. So going to just give a quick intro to Sporecyte, and then we're going to get into some resources that we've built ourselves, additional free resources that are out there available for inspectors or the general public as well, and then some paid resources too, because there are a few resources out there that are really, really good, and they're not free, but if you're looking to take your environmental inspection, your mold testing to the next level, it might be a worthy investment to purchase and digest some of those resources. So this is me. I'm Dylan McIntosh. I'm the lab director and product group manager here at Sporecyte. I've been at Sporecyte now for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years actually. I'm a certified industrial hygienist. I've done hundreds of mold inspections in residential buildings, commercial office space, industrial settings, a whole bunch of different environments. So I've done this quite a bit, and I'm also a PAACB certified spore analyst. So as well as doing the field work and the inspection work and the testing, I've done laboratory work related to mold and have helped develop our product here at Sporecyte and for our lab. So who are we? We're technically TechCyte. That's the name of our company, founded in 2013. We're world leaders in machine learning and artificial intelligence, specifically related to digital microscopy and digital diagnostics. So we're used by labs, pathologists, doctors, vets, home and building inspectors all across the world. We have 3 main verticals: environmental, which is Sporecyte, who we're speaking on behalf of today; human side, which is our name, TechCyte. We have a main collaborator there with Mayo Clinic, and then animal analysis as well, which is a product that is distributed by Zoetis, the world's leader in vet pharmaceuticals. They license our vet product from us and distribute it to their clinics and vets and labs around the world. So our lab, some of you probably know, I looked through the attendee list, recognize a lot of names. There's a few I don't recognize. So we are an environmental laboratory. We mainly focus in mold samples, air samples, surface samples. I lead up things. We have another analyst and some lab techs. We're working towards our AIHA MLAP accreditation. Probably won't get finished this year. We're going to continue working on it through next year. And we're a licensed mold lab in the state of Texas, which is the only state that requires a license. So if you say, well, I'm not in Texas, why aren't you licensed in Florida or Colorado? It's because Texas is the only one that has a license process for environmental labs. And our main focus here at TechCyte and Sporecyte is to make your lives better and easier. We want to provide you a really solid product. We want to lead the industry and change the industry with our product. We want to give you the best mold report possible as a part of our process. And we work to do it quickly with same day or next day report delivery. And we're always making changes and trying to get better. So if you ever have any feedback, you get a report back from us, or you have questions about something, or you want to see a webinar topic, or you want more training in some aspect, reach out and we'll see what we can do to make that happen. So let's just jump right in. So Sporecyte resources. These are resources that we've built and we have on our website for you to view. They're really easy to find. Sporecyte.com/pro resources. There's an icon on our menu bar to get straight there without having to go anywhere else on our website. So we have a series of blogs. We try to do a few blogs a month, and there's some really good content there that you can review. Here's a few examples of the blogs. If you ever have a topic you want us to write a blog about, we try to get these things, when we get a lot of questions, we try to remember the questions we're getting over and over again and realize that's a great blog post. So if you have something you want to touch in a blog post, let us know and we'll see what we can do. Webinars, you're attending one right now or listening to one right now. We're trying to do these once a month. We took a slow down here in the middle of the year, but we're going to try to get back on schedule with once a month. Like I said, they're live. You can come and participate, ask questions, or if you can't make it, you can always watch it from our website. We'll post these blogs usually a few days after we've presented them. Another big one are field guides. So these are video and text-based field guides on collecting samples, air samples, surface samples, how to prepare your job to ship and get a report, filling out a chain of custody, things like that. We've got these field guides and they are not exhaustive, but there's a lot of good content in them. If you're unfamiliar with mold testing or you want to have more knowledge, that's a good place to start. Like I said, it's not exhaustive. It's not going to have the answer to every question you might have, but it gives you a lot of good resources and a lot of good information. If you're going out in the field and you're not quite sure where to take a sample, there's some information in there on selecting sites or sampling strategies, things like that. When should you use a tape lift? When should you use a swab? Can you interchange them? Which situations do one perform better than the other? Things like that are also answered in those field guides. And again, those are on our website in a video or a text-based PDF version. A new thing that we've had a lot of people ask us for a long time is a fungal glossary. And this is currently hosted on our website. And early next year, when we go to update our reports, there's a possibility we start to include the fungal glossary in our report as an appendix. But anyways, all the classes that we report on, we have a photo and a little blurb about it in our fungal glossary. So if you ever see on your report, what the heck is polythrincium? Well, you can come to fungal glossary, you can see what it looks like, you can read a little blurb about it. Those blurbs are a few sentences long at most, so they're not research topics on each spore type, but gives you some more information, some more context for you and your clients as well. And we also have a marketing flyer. This is a two-sided printable flyer that you could bundle with your equipment when you go out to the field. A lot of people don't know they need mold testing or want mold testing up front when they call you on the phone. But it is an ancillary service that, depending on what you find during your inspection, you might want to suggest doing mold testing. You find some discoloration or some water damage in the process of doing your home inspection. We've got a lot of good feedback about this marketing slick. It gives a good summary of what mold testing is, what our product is, what they can expect to get delivered to them as a report. You can put this on your website. People put it on their website. People print it out, take it out into the field with them to share with their clients. It's a nice kind of one-stop shop. So you don't have to memorize every single little thing about mold testing. You can just share this with them and give them some feedback and some of your personal experiences when you have a few of these inspections under your belt. And rounding things up, we have a mold resource center as well. This is a different link. This is linked in our report, actually at the very last page of our report, we have kind of an info page, and there's a link to our Mold Resource Center. So this is geared more towards the general public, your client, the home buyer, the resident in a space. There's a lot of information there from reputable sources like EPA, CDC, American Lung Association, etc. So this is a good place for them to get solid, reliable facts about mold. There's a lot of misinformation in the on the web about mold. So if you just tell your clients to Google it, it's very likely they're going to end up on some blog or some other place that has bad information or even harmful information if it's really terrible and not based in fact and science. There's some things that are a little more anecdotal stories about people, and then there's things that are from reputable sources like the EPA and etc. to learn about mold, learn about the mold industry, which certifications and which types of credentials you want your remediation professionals or other people to have. There's information there. And the last Sporecyte resource we have, this is pretty brand new, was a badge. We've been asked basically since the first week we started working with the public to get a badge. And we finally have one, and you can download it on our website. You can put it in your email signature, put it on your website, put it wherever you like to have. There's a little quote there from one of our clients about Sporecyte, and you could have something like that on your webpage if you'd like. So it's on our website for you to use. So let's transition to other free resources. So these are resources that have been provided by other organizations that aren't Sporecyte, industry groups, government organizations, etc. And it's a good resource to just get general knowledge and good resources for inspectors as well as the general public. So the AIHA is a industry organization for industrial hygienists, and they have a lot of different things on their website related to mold. They've got probably half a dozen free downloadable PDFs and information. You've got facts that are for professionals, facts for general public, frequently asked questions. You've got guides on mold and moisture in homes. And then there's this really fun infographic here that's pretty new. I think they came out with this maybe 2 years ago. And this is just another one that's really digestible by a lot of people without a lot of technical information. And that could be a nice thing that you could share with your clients. So there's a link there if you want to find these resources from the AIHA. It's a great place to get started. The EPA have more technical resources available. There's 2 of them linked here. These are really dense and really informative texts that the EPA has put together and have on their website. There's the Brief Guide to Mold Moisture in Your Home, which is brief, but it is not a short document. There's a lot in that. That is a little more general consumer focused, but there's a lot of good information a home inspector can gain from that. And then my favorite free resource on mold remediation is this document, Mold Remediation in Schools and Commercial Buildings. So the EPA has built this as a guide for remediation professionals in these environments. And most of the remediation standards out there are not free. They're put together by industry organizations, and you got to pay for them anywhere from $60 to $120 for some of these texts. And if you're not a remediation professional, you probably don't need to pay for those. But this one's free, and it's really good for people offering mold inspections to be familiar with the best practices for remediation, minimizing moisture problems, addressing moisture issues, physical removal of materials and replacement of materials, General practices like that are really, really good for you to feel confident in helping your clients digest the testing that you're providing, and also help recommend quality remediation professionals in your area if they do need something like that in a purchase that they're looking to make. So that's a great resource for anyone doing mold, even if you're not going to do any sort of remediation. So this one is free. We'll call it freemium, where it's free, but there is a cost associated with some of it. So InterNACHI and IAC2 are everyone here probably is familiar with InterNACHI. IAC2 is a spin-off of InterNACHI that's related to indoor air quality mold testing radon primarily. And InterNACHI has free courses if you're a member there of performing mold inspections, moisture intrusion, and advanced mold inspections. They might even have more than that. And those are free resources if you're an InterNACHI member. And then IAC2, they have free resources for anyone. They're on their website. They have video series, they have textbooks, they have short info sheets. So if you either don't do mold testing or you've started to do mold testing, but maybe you're a little unsure about your confidence in performing these tests, this is a great place to start to get that knowledge and get that experience to make you feel confident in the services that you're going to provide. And then IAC2 also has a certification program. If you're an InterNACHI member, it's basically free. It's $1 a year. If you're not an InterNACHI member, it's $99 a year. And that just adds an extra credential to you. And it could be helpful if you really want to start offering environmental services as maybe a standalone service, or you want to, bring your business to that next level. A certification, a personal certification for you or your team members could be a good option there. And those resources are great, and they're at a low cost if they're not free there. So that's a great bridge into our final section here is paid resources. And I know that the title of this webinar that we sent to you in your emails for the last 2 weeks said free resources, but there's a lot of great free resources that we covered here. There's even more that I didn't cover, and these are paid, and we understand that these are paid. We don't get any money from this. We're not the ones who get paid from this, but these are kind of next level information. This is really dense, really, really technical information for doing mold, moisture work in the built environment. So the first one here is the ASTM standard, which I don't know if anyone here is familiar with ASTM standards, but this is a very dry document. It is a procedural document for assessing fungal growth in buildings. So the ASTM has hundreds of standards from all sorts of things, and they get a dozen or so experts together, and they have a title, and they meet together, and these experts take months or years to get to a consensus on how to do certain things. And this one is one about assessment of fungal growth in buildings. So this document here is, if you can read it and absorb the information inside of it, you'll become a better mold inspector, no doubt about it. It's probably the backbone that a lot of other resources are built on top of. The experts who put that together digest it and put it into a more approachable format in various resources that you see around, such as these two here put together by the AIHA. Earlier, I showed you some of their free resources, which are great. And these are books. These are books with, 100 plus pages in it about the field guide for determination of contaminants. It goes beyond mold. It looks into all sorts of environmental, but there's a big portion of mold in that book. But if you're interested in environmental testing of any sort, there's a lot of information in that book. And then the recognition, evaluation, and control of indoor mold. So that is all encompassing, anywhere from assessments, sampling, getting a sound sampling strategy, what kind of samples you might want to take, a little bit of interpretation of those samples, and then the remediation, the control, moisture mitigation, etc., is covered in that text as well. So these are 3 of countless paid resources. I didn't want to put any training providers or anything in this because I want to keep it impartial. These are made by experts in the industry, and are going towards either industry organizations or the ASTM, which is an international standards body that provide all sorts of standards. So the price on these, I think the ASTM standards are probably $90 maybe, and I think these AHA documents, you can either order a physical copy of a book or a PDF, and the price is different between the 2, I believe, but you can find them on their website with a quick search. So that is 20 minutes. That wraps up most of our presentation. So one new thing that we're offering are training. We're building a training course for home inspectors, and we're really looking to present these to local home inspection organization chapters or multi-team member organizations or franchise situations. So if anyone listening is on a board of their local chapter or runs an organization or a club, or you've got inspectors that you network with, and you want to work with us on training, reach out to Jim, our director of sales. His contact information is there, or just reach out to us through the website. We'll get it to the right person. We're trying to build a course that can educate, as well as in the states that have continuing education. We're looking to start offering continuing education units as well. So we just started doing this. The course is nearly complete. We've got a couple early adopters that we'll be presenting with. So we're looking for more, and we're looking to refine this and make it a good process that we can repeat to other people. So with that, questions and answers. I see some questions already in my chat. So let me get my mouse woke up, and let's go. All right. Let me get my last. All right. So there was a question about costs, and it looks like Ellen got back to you there. That's great. And we had a couple other questions that were a little off topic about sampling, and that's great. And I'm going to see here. So we've got from Jamie. This is a little off topic, but I'd like to read this because this is relevant. I've seen your ad in Home Inspector magazine about your new air pump. When is that available and how much? The ad says it's less than $200 and coming soon. That's true. Our ad went out very recently in Home Inspector magazine. Our new sampling pump is due to be stateside, most likely in December. So we'll have a lot more information once we have a solid date on that pump. It'll go out in our email blast, and it will be under $200. I don't think we have a final price yet, but it'll be right around the $100 mark is what we're aiming for there for the kit that comes with the pump, calibration attachments, rotometer, and it's going to be a nice little pump. So that's a good question. So from Rob, is Stachybotrys the worst mold? Does it matter what type of mold is found in samples? Rob, that's a great question. And I've answered this question 1,000 times in my career. And we've got more detailed information on a lot of our resources on our website, as well as what I've covered. But is Stachybotrys the worst mold? No mold is the worst mold. Every mold is different, and every mold shouldn't be growing in your home, so it needs to be remediated the same way. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that topic, but yeah, some types of mold are more concerning in indicating water damage and indicating that there's most likely an internal source of that mold, and it's not environmentally coming in from the outside. Stachybotrys is one of those indicators. But it's no worse than any other mold that's growing in your house. All of it should be removed. We've got a question: where do I look to see if my state requires a license to do mold testing and or remediation? So this is as of my most recent knowledge, which it may change. These things have changed rapidly in the past. There's a number of states out there that require licensing or certification. Some of them have provisions for home inspectors, some of them do not. States, for example, Florida, Texas, New York, New Hampshire, Washington, D.C. have license requirements. There may be others that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but the best way would be your state name, mold license requirement. If you search something like that into your Google search and nothing from your state government comes back, your Department of Labor, your Department of Professional and Business Regulations, anything like that, then most likely you don't have a requirement. Or if you're not sure, you want to be sure, send us a message and I can, if you live in Wyoming, there's nothing there. If you live in Indiana, they don't have anything. So it could be easy as that too. So if you can't find anything, let us know. From Maria, some training cells to take 10-minute samples. Sporecyte suggests encourages 5 minutes. Can you tell us what the difference is? It's a really great question, and this has come up in our lab this week. Is a 10-minute sample that's recommended by some people, and in clean environments, 10-minute samples are better than 5-minute samples. A commercial office space or a home that is meticulously cleaned and cared for, you could run a 10-minute sample, and you will get the data will be a little more sound than a 5-minute sample. But the issue is in the indoor environment, if you run a 10-minute sample in a home that's just a little bit too dirty, and I'm talking microscopic dirty, not like the dishes are all over the place. If the air in the home has a little bit too much particulate matter, and you run that sample for 10 minutes, and you overload the cassette, and you really saturate the cassette with particulate matter, your results are going to be unreliable. And there's a risk there. It's kind of a Goldilocks situation. And for most instances, 5 minutes is that Goldilocks time where you're not going to run at risk of overloading it, but you're running a long enough sample to get reliable results. So there's some training providers that say 10 minutes. The cassette manufacturers most often tell you 5 minutes in a residential home setting. You could do as short as 1 minute if they're actively doing renovations, or maybe there's active construction going on in the home. 1 minute might be appropriate in that to avoid a risk of overloading the cassette, because that's a problem. Overloading the cassette, it really is unreliable. So are there any organizations like Internachi that help with licensing? Internachi, one of them, and then another one in some states that require exams or certification. Most often they rely on the certifications through a group called the ACAC, the American Council for Accredited Certifications. So that's another organization that issues certifications related to mold and air quality. If you have a state like New Hampshire doesn't have a license requirement, they have a certification requirement. To do mold work, you have to be certified. You have to carry one of those ACAC certifications. That's another organization that could help you out there. Do you guys take suggestions for webinar or frequently asked question topics? Absolutely. Send us a message through our website. There's a contact us button on our website. You can send us an email here at this email, sales@sporecyte.com, info@sporecyte.com also works. Be happy to get some feedback and topics for future. Will our pump run all cassette types? I can't say all because I've not used every kind of cassette, but the goal for that pump is to be agnostic to sampling type. So there be support for Aerocell, Allergenco, Positrack. It probably will work on other Zephon cassettes like the Pro 5 cassette, Pro 10 cassette. It will likely run on all of those. The attachment is pretty universal, but I haven't tested them on everything. So if you have a specific cassette you want a question about, let us know, and I can do a little research and let you know if it'll fit or not. Um, we've built our pump to be used by Sporecyte clients for the cassette types we use, which are also the most common cassette types in the industry: the Aerocell from Zephon, the Allergenco D and Allergenco Positrack cassettes. We're also in the process of developing our own cassette as well, which will be out possibly later next year. Yeah, you could use that pump on other cassette types too for other types of sampling, but I can't say for sure if it's everything. Um, I've got a question from Aaron. Is IICRC certifications good or accredited as a good source of information or training? Yeah, the IICRC is the resource for remediation and restoration. If you're looking to get into those fields, they're your best bet. As far as I know, they don't have an assessment or testing certification. It's mainly the restoration side, but they're the most reputable one there. I have the last question, then I've got to get off. If any other questions come in, we can reach out to you in an email. I'm using Priority Lab cassettes in the Breeze ET. Can I use my equipment and get cassettes from you to use the Breeze ET? If so, the Breeze ET is set for 10-minute sample. Are your cassettes set for 5? So our cassettes are not proprietary to us. Our cassettes are standard industry cassettes that, to my knowledge of that pump, Aerocells, Positracks, Allergencos work on the Breeze cassette, the Breeze pump. Now, you might want to verify that with the manufacturer of the pump, but I'm pretty sure it does. Those are the standard industry pump. I know Breeze sells their own cassettes as well, which is kind of similar to the Aerocell, but I would suspect that they do work with those pumps. You can take a 5-minute timer, a 10-minute sample if you need to, but also you could take a 5-minute sample if you turn the pump on and keep a timer and turn it off. Just make sure you fill out on the chain of custody how long that sample is. So yeah, the cassette doesn't determine how long the sample runs for. It's the environment, and in this case, your hardware, right? If it's set for 10 minutes, you can only do 10 minutes, or you have to do a workaround where you do it manually. So yeah, well, I think that's all we've got time for. Thanks for stopping in, everybody. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions, future topics for blogs or webinars, and we'd be happy to see what we can accommodate. So thanks, everyone.